It's crazy.
And if you were in that business, what would you tell them they need to do in the next 5 years?
Yeah, make them all like
get
that.
better at it.
Yeah, get better at that. Control where they go, control the steering wheel, control everything. Auto driving on all cars. Auto driving on all cars with third party input.
Is this not what we would say to Tesla?
Yeah.
I mean to Elon if he said I want to make cars.
Right.
When we say okay, well these are the regulations and you have to make them like this and you.
It'd be nice if you can just control that car. Here, this is how you sell it to people. If someone steals your car, we can get it back. And you go, oh, that's great. If someone steals my car, they can get it back. How are they going to get it back? Well, they control your car.
You can make it cheap enough to not be a difficult sell.
Yeah, make it cheap.
That's what capitalism is about.
Yeah. Well, that's also like when you get free internet or free services through Google, right? It's free. But what you're giving up is your data, which is extremely valuable. So they're giving you something. You can now use Google, but now they have all your data. And they're just a big net that mines data. And because of that, they become one of the most powerful entities that's ever existed on Earth. You know, there was a story that
we learned this from fishermen, how a net works and how much it's important to get as much in as you possibly can, and that's where analytics live. And that's where I'm saying this is where the DNA industry is built off of is the fact of the future. Like at that same point that you're saying that we'll have those cars that do that, they'll be able to predict crime.
Oh yeah.
And step in before certain things even need to happen.
Or they'll probably instigate you to a certain level of stress that they could indicate that you're about to commit crime, and then they come in and get you.
They won't need to be that nefarious, only because some of this stuff we know already. It just requires profiling that we're not comfortable with. Like, worldwide, most terrible crimes are committed by most crime worldwide is done by men with a micro penis. Doctors don't. This is why AI exists. You know, you're your personal AI. You store your information. You make moves based upon what you've learned. So it's not a difficult process. All through history, they had these oracles and these heads that gave answers.
Right.
And this is where that whole occult conversation intersects. Because at the end of the day, information is information, and the universe is built on a yin-yang thing that applies to everything.
And we're slowly getting connected to that oracle, slowly getting sucked into that black hole to the point where it will be inescapable.
Right.
Yeah. And those old billionaire dudes would love to be in control of all that.
Look, what else are you to do with that type of money, Joseph?
Buy a bigger yacht.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Right.
It's like, what's the next game? You know, what's the real game?
As human beings, that's what our expectations are.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah, what can you do? And at the end of the day, no matter how much money you amass, it's only about either how you can help others, and that you're never going to be fulfilled either, because you're never going to help enough people, and that's going to be your whole thing, is not being able to help enough people and just wishing that you could help more.
Right.
Or feeling like everybody is a commodity. That's the way these things work. And find out I'm going to take advantage of rich people, powerful people on this planet, and a lot of that has to do with the process that they have in instilling in their young people a certain amount of information and wherewithal and conversation that does not happen in other cultures. That exists only in a few places. But they're always important, especially if you look at things from a non-religious point.
Again, it goes back to information. Yeah. I mean, all cultures are saying exchanging information with each other. The healthiest cultures are the ones that can both give the most freedom and allow people to innovate.
Right, helping ourselves and others.
Yeah.
And profit and benefit.
Yeah.
That's part of the process. But that's no different than what everybody's religious story says. Like,
Who do you think ghosts are? You think that's real?
Interestingly, I don't believe in, well, you either believe in the natural and the supernatural, or you don't. And there are facets to everything. If you don't believe in anything supernatural, then I would assume that means you don't believe in God either. Just like I was telling you earlier, I don't know how you can be a Christian and not believe in extraterrestrials. It's in your book. It says there was a war in heaven and God was fighting Satan and threw him down here. This is taking place.
Also in the Old Testament, Ezekiel's story. Ezekiel's story is essentially about a UFO encounter.
I was really frustrated as a black person that we weren't included more in the Bible. Right? And so I felt very good when I found that some of the books of the Bible that were banned because they had black guys in them.
Really? What books of the Bible? This is in the New Testament? Is this when they were
You've heard the book
Constantine?
You've heard about the book of Enoch.
Yes.
So if you know that book, it says that Noah was an albino.
I always wondered about like Noah's age. They talked about him being hundreds of years old.
And it tells everybody's story.
Yeah.
And
But here's my thought. If human beings were at one point in time more technologically advanced than we are now, which is possible, we are on the verge of taking human life and expanding it way beyond 100 years. We're like real close to that. The people that are alive today will live to be 150.
I'm not qualified to be having any of this conversation.
I'm barely qualified because I've talked to a lot of qualified people.
Disclaimer, but understand, we know more now. Like we know that the Earth is not spinning now the same way that it once was. We know that.
We get slightly different, immeasurably different, right?
I'm saying. The interesting thing is in all of those stories that we're talking about, it never says that they did anything different that got them to be in that position. They were blessed by God. So
Yeah, they were there.
This is at a time when people were dying of some things that today we would call pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know, but it was wiping out whole groups of people. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, it's fascinating because there's no way to go back there and see what the fuck was going on. So no matter what, you're not yet.
Let's be fair though. They're not telling some wild story. Like if they say that a guy had this guy lived 600 years, they're also telling you about the 346 children that he had and his 1,500 wives.
Right.
Like, hold on.
Yeah.
These are numbers to back up.
Right. If human beings do live to be 500 years old, that's a real possibility.
That would be the only way that you could show that.
Yeah.
Is by
Talking about all the wives and all the children. And if you do take what we know now, in terms of like what they are capable of doing now with human beings and lengthening telomeres, there's a lot of different methodologies that they're using that they believe will extend human life. Use of metformin, NMN, hyperbaric change. There's a bunch of different things they're doing. And then there's CRISPR. Well, they're doing genetic engineering on kids now. And in China, they did genetic engineering that would make the children more likely to be brilliant, more likely to be super intelligent.
Sir, why are you acting surprised by key components of the breeding process?
Right. True. Right.
If we're talking about Frisians or if we're talking about German Shepherds or Doberman Pinschers, this is perfectly fine, right?
Right.
For me to say that thanks to these reasons, this dog is the sheer example of the confirmation of the breed, and that his attributes are his intelligence and his loyalty and his...
Right.
This is all part
You
of
could do that
these...
shit in a test tube for your kid. Why wouldn't you do it? That's what I think they're going to start off with normal stuff.
It all starts off as normal stuff because it's abnormal. So the first thing you're doing is, okay, so we're in charge of... Like, how could you not?
How could you not?
Is more the question to be had. And that's why in that profession, they're allowed to do certain things and then tell you they're not going to do it no more.
Yes.
That's a key component.
Yeah. We're not going to do it. We changed our mind. Yeah, if they're telling you that there's no clones, the guy telling you is probably a fucking clone. At this point, I have no doubt that they've made human clones. They've made dog clones. You can get your dog cloned. If your dog's gonna die, you can get the DNA from your dog, get a fucking puppy, and it'll be eerily similar to your dog. They think including some personality traits, which is just very bizarre, very Pet Cemetery. But if they can do that, why can't they do that to people? They can.
Well, here's the thing. Before this goes off, it's too. Because there is a God, the bar has been set so insanely high for your clone that you can't really take much usage.
So if there's a God and you have a clone, the clone doesn't have a soul because you don't have a soul to give that clone.
Or a personality. Or certain things like a subconscious. Like that's not available on the market. Lungs are, heart is, arms are.
Right.
But subconscious, you still don't have the understanding of that, or how we're able to be as brilliant as we are in this world while only using a portion of there are those of us that know what the pineal gland, what medicine says it's for, and what that would mean. And so those people's job is to make sure that there's fluoride in all the water. So your pineal gland will shrivel.
Get calcified or whatever happens to it.
That's all.
The fluoride thing is wild. The fact that people aren't up in arms about them putting fluoride in your fucking drinking water is so crazy. It's so unnecessary.
It's brilliant on the other end, though.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened is the reason people have that relationship is they cleaned up the water the same time that they did that. You see what I'm saying? So people at that time just remember the water not being that great. And then all of a sudden the water is really great and it's got fluoride and it's good for your
teeth. Despite the fact that there's direct correlations between high levels of fluoride in drinking water and low IQs. They think it lowers people's IQs. They think it's terrible for you. Fluoride's dangerous. You're not supposed to swallow toothpaste.
Look, whatever you're saying, people won't find out about that for 100 years, and I'm not even going to be 100. And most of these decisions are made like that.
Yeah. Most people are terribly unaware of the fluoride thing. When you bring it up, they always say it's good for your teeth. Like, don't you brush your fucking teeth? Why do you need fluoride? Why do you need fluoride in your water? Are you sure that's why your teeth aren't falling out?
It's the fact that people don't understand that it's a toxic thing that you can't buy or purchase or handle.
It's in your drinking water. And it's not doing you any good other than supposedly it's good for your teeth.
Well, even if it was.
Yeah, even if it was.
Even if it was great for your teeth and your bones. You drinking it wouldn't be the way you'd be trying to get that. No, but
I don't even use fluoride toothpaste.
I'm not gonna let you take me where this conversation is going.
Where's it going?
Now that we went to fluoride, like I'm
Where's
gonna
it
have
going?
to cut no further than that because once you start having what they'll do, like
yeah,
you understand everything's a campaign. And that's how you can approach everything is find out
who's making money off this.
Where's the profit? How does this make sense? Why?
So right now the fluoride plant's going, what the fuck are they talking about? Somebody just introduced legislation to try to remove fluoride from some state from drinking water. Some people are waking up to it. They're realizing that this is so unnecessary and obviously not good.
Well, just understand that there are far too many places that don't have clean waters.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
Like
Flint, Michigan. Still that water's fucked up. There's what about that place in Ohio where that?
Hold on. And why? Because nobody wants it to be their fault. So nobody will take
Right.
You understand how?
Well, even the government. There's plenty of money for Ukraine.
Not even.
Yeah.
Like exactly. How are we allowed to have a foreign policy when we are violating the policies here?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like what do you mean the immigrants are getting a check and we're putting them up in places that what? You mean in the homeless people's face?
Right in the homeless people's faces.
Like,
right?
Let us show you what we could have done.
Right.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's not okay as a society.
No. Well, did you see the scam that they were trying to do in New York City? Where they were trying to give them debit cards with $10,000, but there's people getting cuts all along the way?
That wasn't a scam. That was business that got uncovered.
Yeah.
And I'll prove it to you. When you go to, if you go to jail in New York, everybody goes to Rikers Island. So I was in Rikers Island. So if you got money on you when you go in, they give you a card when you leave it. And it's got money on it. Your amount. Systems are the system.
Yeah, there's a lot of money being made.
Yeah.
A lot of money being tossed around in the system. And if you have a thing like an open immigration policy, for sure, someone's figuring out how to profit off that. Someone's figuring out something about that.
No, you're looking at it the wrong way. There is no one who isn't.
Everyone's profit.
I'm saying, how ridiculous is it for you to think you have the greatest country in the world and then it not be a big deal to get there?
Of course. Of course.
This is the bees saying, why do they love our honey so much? Right?
Well, no one's shocked at that. What people are shocked at is that there's no effort whatsoever to stop the stem of illegal immigration. That's what people are freaked out about. Like, it seems like
We're
it's on
not
purpose.
freaked out about the loss of bees.
I am.
If all the bees are gone, we're gonna die as a civilization because we didn't protect one of the most important insects in the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right. So,
And they think cell phone signals are fucking them up too.
well,
Can you imagine you're gonna be forever, but all of a sudden someone uses cell phone signals everywhere?
this is part of the purpose of religion in society is to try to get you away from exploring all of the things you could be doing with your time. Put it somewhere that's healthy.
What do you mean?
Like principles of meditation, believing that you should be trying to do a good job and being nice, because it's not really that profitable, right? But here we are talking about, that's what really would help our country and civilization if we treated the downtrodden better. But the truth is very little money in that.
Yeah.
Very little money in that. The truth is that the immigrants that come over here are generally qualified and something.
Yeah, and motivated.
And
I mean, shit. If I just walked
and
here,
that's what's made all immigration important. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like the Mexican people were the second. Well, they were their own jolt to the civilization of the fact that, you say, oh, they shouldn't come over, but anybody that comes over willing to work hard and those are people you want apart, and they immediately help. Like, you can look at the extremes, of course, but the benefit astronomical. Always have.
yeah, the benefits are great. The side effects are crime. And that's what you have to be careful of. Especially when that organized crime is coming in so prevalent. You got a lot of that. That's a wild one. Because that's propped up by laws. That's propped up by our drug laws. And that puts you in a real complicated situation. Do you make drugs legal? Everything legal. The problem is you're going to get a bunch of people to get addicted to drugs that probably wouldn't without that. And then you have to say, is that just part of the process? We have to learn to deal with this new thing that's everywhere and readily available. And how many people are going to try it just because it's legal? Probably quite a few. But at least how many people are not going to die from fentanyl poisoning because they're going to get pure stuff? Probably a lot.
Talking fentanyl in specific, like, it's a very difficult conversation to have because most of the things that we will all agree are terrible drugs aren't being used at the hospital.
Right.
So until that part gets like it's a bad look all the way around, but the bar has been set so high. Like, everything that's called a drug nowadays is terrible. Like, there's been no evolution. Like, yikes.
Well, that's part of the problem with keeping drugs illegal, and especially psychedelic drugs, since 1970. It's like stymied human evolution, stymied research, stymied growth.
What did?
Keeping drugs illegal, keeping psychedelic drugs illegal.
Look, if there
Specifically
was
psychedelic drugs.
if there was a God, then he put a fail-safe on the drug so that they have a barrier.
And that's Richard Nixon?
That's ODing.
ODing, yeah. Right, with
So-
those drugs.
Right. So really what's happening is you're like, okay, whatever you're on, do it till you're dead. And
Yeah.
so, statistically, that's going to happen. You're going to lose some people, but the people that's not doing it, they're not going to start doing it. Like,
Right, and they're going to learn from the people that died. Like you learned to not eat poisonous plants.
You would think, but if that were true, nobody in the world would ever do heroin. Like, if you've ever seen somebody kick it, like,
Right.
you would never do it. Like, it doesn't matter how it makes you feel if the end result is defecating and urinating in a puddle that you're laying in while being naked, then it, like,
Yeah.
you would,
Yeah.
like,
True.
you would just call that poison.
And you were smart. Yeah. You would learn. You would learn from other people doing it. And that's the thing, it's like we're reluctant to allow that factor into people's lives, but we kind of have with a lot of other factors.
Well, a lot of these things were used sparingly and in context as well. You know what I'm saying? So
Particularly on psychedelics, they were used in a ritualistic way.
but that's like us saying, well, in that cooking show, they were using herbs and spices. Like, yeah, that goes with it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
if somebody tells you that when they used to come through with the ball and the smoke and the incense, that at one point it was marijuana,
Yeah.
right? Understand that it was setting the mood of the room.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, that's how you know there is an occult. How could there not be? There's another side to everything, universally. So,
That was a wild time in church. Everybody just got contact high. People walking down the aisles with balls filled with marijuana smoke.
well, understand, this is not being consistently done. This is